Hey guys, it's Sam, and today I'm going to talk about my most anticipated releases for 2025. You may have noticed, if you're paying attention to me and what I'm doing, which you're probably not, but I have not been paying that close of attention to new releases for a while. It's like kind of trickled off for me. So I'm not doing these like seasonal videos for everything that's coming out because I have a lot of backlist and like, yeah, I'm not as focused on it, but I did want to do sort of a big titles for the next year that I'm excited about, and I might do some throughout the year a little bit because this next year does seem like it'll be a pretty good year for releases. I've seen a couple people's videos that are like really excited about some things coming out, but these are the things that are top of mind for me, most of them being authors that I already know about or things that are just like so up my alley that they've made it to my radar even if I haven't read those authors. We just have a handful. These are not going to be in any order based on like release date or anything. We're just going to talk about them. Most of these are pretty big titles that you're probably already have heard about, but maybe you haven't. So the first is The Knight and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I recently talked about Rachel Gillig, her like first duology, YA duology that came out, being a series that I wanted to get to. So I still haven't read anything by her, but this is a adult series by her that's starting. And it just speaks to me specifically. One, this cover, amazing. Two, it's a little bit like romantasy-ish, which whenever something is labeled as romantasy, I'm like, oh, I don't know. But it's described as a gothic, mist-cloaked tale. Which, if you say that to me, I want to read it. And it's about a prophetess who can see like everyone's future and stuff, sort of like that Oracle of Delphi type situation. And she has to go on a quest with the knight, the one person whose future she can't see. And yeah, apparently she's called like a diviner, and so a bunch of those diviners start going missing, so she has to team up with him to like figure out why, but he like has no respect for sort of the religion and the diviners and all of that. So I just think this is gonna be good. I think this is gonna be sort of that like antagonistic, not quite enemies to lovers, but like it has the vibes of that without being like awful. I don't know. I've heard good things about Rachel Gillig's like writing as far as romance. So I want some like solid romance subplots in fantasy books. And like this kind of thing speaks to me. So we'll see. And that is set to release in May. Next is one that so many people are talking about, and that is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. Now, I have a sordid history with V.E. Schwab. I really enjoy some of their books, and then I hate some other ones. Not hate. Well, actually, I do really hate the second book in the ones with the different Londons, Gathering of Shadows or whatever that is. Anyway, I really don't like that book, and I do not like Lila, one of her main characters. But they have such good world-building ideas, and then the execution doesn't always work for me, but I'm still usually willing to give them a try, and that's the case for this as well. The description for this is incredibly vague, at least the one that's posted on Storygraph. I don't know if there's a different one somewhere else. But it's a queer love story that's following three women in three different places in three different, like, times. So it's, I believe, Spain in the 1500s, London in the 1800s, and Boston in 2019. Yeah, the description, I've just looked somewhere else just to see, and there's like not really a description of this, but yeah. Three young women, their bodies planted in the same soil, their stories tangled like roots. One grows high, one grows deep, and one grows wild, and all of them grow teeth. Cool. I mean, again, V.E. Schwab does really cool world stuff. Sometimes they knock it out of the park, sometimes they don't for me. We'll see how this one is. This one is expected to release in June. Then we have a new Emily Henry release, which I will always read, and that is Great Big Beautiful Life. This is following two writers who want to tell the story of this larger-than-life personality. This woman in her 80s, and she is claiming to be this like famous heiress, tabloid princess, whatever, and they both want to tell her story, and she's like, yeah, you can, but I'm putting you both on trial, like a trial run for this, for like a month. But she's not giving each of them the full story, but they also are not allowed to share information. So the stories are looking different depending on who's telling it, then they have all this tension. It also seems like she's a little bit more sunshine, he's a little bit more grumpy, which I do tend to like. And this just feels like an Emily Henry return to form. I didn't like her last book that came out, and I haven't liked every single one by her, but I tend to like most of them, and this feels like it's gonna be good, because it kind of gives me like Evelyn Hugo vibes with Emily Henry's like romance stuff. So I think this will be really good. And that's set to release in April. Then we have Fable for the End of the World by Ava Reid, and Ava Reid is one of my favorite authors, so I will read pretty much anything that they come out with, and this is another standalone YA. It's apparently a dystopian romance, which I would not have expected from them at all. This apparently happens in a world where one corporation controls everybody because they basically get everybody to like accumulate massive amounts of debt, and then this corporation controls everyone using that debt. And so there's like kind of a Hunger Games aspect to this, because when you accumulate massive amounts of debt, you can also try to write off that debt by like putting your kids in this like sacrificial gauntlet. I know, brutal. And it's like a live streamed assassination spectacle. So our main character's mother does this because apparently she's a piece of shit. Ava Reed loves writing about abusive families. So our other main character is set to assassinate Anessa, who's the first main character. And our assassin character, Mel, has a reputation for like completing all our assassinations, but is trying to redeem herself because at the last one she like failed in some way. So she's trying to like redeem herself. Anessa is trying to survive, and they're kind of trying to figure out like all that as one is tracking the other, and then there's a queer romance type story involved with that too. So yeah, this is going to be kind of interesting. This is very not similar to Ava Reed's other stuff, which has mostly been very fantasy. This is a little sci-fi-esque, right? We'll see what they do with this, but they're very good at doing dark things, and this feels pretty dark. And that is set to release in March. Then we have a book so many people are talking about. It's Katabasis by R.F. Kuang. R.F. Kuang has not always been a hit for me. I've liked some of her stuff and not others, but this is like wild. This sort of feels like Dante's Inferno meets the Magicians. So we have some graduate students who are studying magic, and our main character, I think we might just follow one character, I'm not sure. But she's a grad student that is going to study under this like most famous magician, and then he dies. And then she has to track him into hell. But her rival also follows her. So they set off across hell to find this professor that neither of them really even like, but they need like for their academic career. Like, R.F. Kuang loves to write about academic trauma, you know, like just sort of bad people, grad students, can tell that academia has been very traumatizing to R.F. Kuang. So yeah, this sounds like it'd be very cool. Yeah. Love a Dante's Inferno type journey with academia. And like, I'm sure the theme of this will be just like, academia is hell. And this is set to release in August. Then we have Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which is set to release in June. This is another one of her sort of like historical fiction standalones. And this is taking place in like the 80s and in the space program. So like astronauts and stuff. So yeah, moving away from some of the like sort of sports, whatever. I don't know. I like what Taylor Jenkins Reid does with trying to examine different sort of settings. Like again, the last one was sort of tennis, didn't really love that. I didn't really love Malibu Rising, but I did really love Evelyn Hugo. I liked Daisy Jones and the Six, some of those. So yeah, I'm excited about space program stuff. I think that's really cool. You don't really see a lot of that. I don't think it'll be super science heavy. It'll be more of that like sort of literary historical fiction-y. So yeah, we'll see what she does with this. And finally, we have Witchlight by Susan Dennard, which is a tentative release for 2025. We do not have a for sure release date. We do not have a cover, but I sincerely hope she returns to this series. This is the final book in the Witchland series, and is one of my favorite YA series that is currently ongoing. The next book, like this book we've been waiting for a very long time, and this is so interesting and so complex, and yeah, I just hope she sticks the landing, but I think she's a little nervous about it because she's been avoiding it for a little while. So I hope it all works out, but I'm really interested in how everything kind of ties together. There are so many threads that I want answers to, so I'm hoping that this comes out in 2025. And this is the only one that I'm holding out for to come out in 2025. There are some other series that we've talked about in previous videos in previous years that I'm not going to mention, but you know what I'm talking about. If you know what I'm talking about, leave a comment down below. I'm not even going to mention that beyond that little hint. This is the only one I'm actually holding out hope for 2025. So yeah, those are the books that I am most excited about for 2025. Comment down below, let me know if there's any books that you think I should be keeping my eye on for 2025 that I didn't mention here. Thank you all for watching. I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.